Hello, and thank you for coming to Stratazine, your source for digital and social media. I'm your host, Lindsay Hales.
And my name is Grace Shirley, and today we're talking about personal branding.
The question of the day is, what is the biggest trend in personal branding for 2025? Stay to the end of the video to find out. I interviewed some BYU Idaho students to ask them what they know about personal branding. Stratazine. Today we're going around and asking BYU Idaho students if they have a personal brand and 3 words to describe that personal brand. Hi Josh, my name is Lindsay from Stratazine, and we're talking to people today about personal branding. Do you feel like you have a personal brand?
Absolutely. I have a YouTube channel, and I would say the brand on that would be adventurous, optimistic, and a little bit reckless too.
And you definitely have to prioritize, having good energy, just being generally a good person, but overall, just be genuine.
Mostly family-oriented, connections with others, and then artistic. I would say I like to do a lot of art.
Either help somebody learn or just helps make someone's day better.
Personal, empathy, and artsy. Comfortable, mythological, and fantastic.
And that's a wrap on this segment of the broadcast. We are so grateful for everybody's responses. As we can see, people's perspectives of what makes a good personal brand are as diverse as the people themselves. Thank you. It was so fun to film that segment. There are lots of different ways to make a good personal brand, and one of those ways is through weekly newsletters. Let's learn more about them.
Lauren Miller will tell us more today about how you can utilize newsletters in your personal branding.
Want to grow a newsletter that actually gets open and makes an impact? Let's break down what makes a newsletter truly successful. First, niche and value. The most successful newsletters thrive because they can provide consistent, high-value content tailored to a specific audience. Whether it's business, tech, or lifestyle, own your niche. Second, engagement over everything. The best newsletters aren't just read, they spark action. A strong call to action helps businesses increase conversion rates and build loyalty. Third, monetization matters. Brands succeed by blending valuable content with sponsorships and affiliate marketing, proving that great content can drive revenue. My key takeaway is to be consistent, provide real value, and create a brand that people want in their inbox. Create your content fresh, your voice unique, and your audience engaged. Ready to start your own? Take notes from these successful stories, and you'll be on your way to building a newsletter people actually look forward to.
Now that we know more about newsletters, we're going to hear an expert's opinion on what makes a good, strong personal brand.
Recently, I spoke with Corey Kerr, a professional in the communication department. He has an amazing portfolio and website, and so I knew that I wanted to talk to him about his advice for students in developing and creating a personal brand.
I mean, as far as creating a personal brand, I think for a content creator, right? So I'm an illustrator, animator, designer. I do lots of different types of media, and I have over the years done short films and animated shorts and lots of illustrations and posters and comics and stuff like that. And so to a certain extent, a big part of personal brand is like what you're making and what you're known for. And I think you don't really need to think too much about that. Unless you want to be super strategic about it, which I'm not, right? I want to make stuff that I want to make. And I want to be hired to make stuff that I want to make. If I was really intent on making a lot of money off of my personal brand, I would be very narrowly focused, and I would just do one thing, and I would just show one thing, and I would do that thing really well. But because I've always used my personal brand as a way to get extra client work on the side while I have a day job, if somebody wants to hire me to do comics or an animation or whatever, there's lots of different options. But the type of things and the style of things that I create makes itself a personal brand without me having to decide, right? When you're talking about cohesion in a brand, there's a few different things to consider. Most students are going to only focus on when students put together a brand guide, they're like, here's my style guide, or here's my brand guide, or whatever. It's usually 3 to 5 squares that are different colors, and then 1 or 2 fonts. And they're like, this is a brand. And it's those are some visual elements of a brand. But when you think of a brand, when you think of Nike, right, you're going to think of athleticism and hard work and kind of the sweat that kind of goes into the achievement of victory, right? You think of Reebok, right? It's a different vibe, it's a different feel, but they both make athletic shoes, right? They both have black logos that are very simple shapes. There's not a lot of differentiation on the visual front. The biggest differentiation is going to be on the personality, character, mood, vibe, the messages that they choose to make. When I describe like a story that I'm working on or a film that I'm working on or a comic that I'm working on, usually people say, that seems like a very Corey Kerr comic. You know what I mean? And a lot of that is because the type of messaging that I tend to gravitate towards tends to align with kind of Captain Moroni, where I seek not for power, but to pull it down. Like I like to the ideas of like dismantling like concentrated power structures that are abusive. There's a wide variety of tales that you can tell and messages that you can give that's kind of within that. But it all kind of feels similar and lands in kind of like the same lane. And so a huge part of branding is going to be visual, right? But a much bigger part is going to be in messaging, right? Is going to be in like who you are as an individual, who you are as a person. But generally speaking, I think the mood and the message is going to be the biggest part of that. Like, what is the difference between Target and Walmart? They're basically the same store, right? They try to sell cheap goods, and yet the feeling and the personality of the two are drastically different. While visually the experience feels a lot different, it is driven from the messaging that they're trying to get across, and brand's differentiation is based on message and audience. So I used to use MailChimp. I moved to Substack, and I think Substack's great. I think it's new. The thing that I think I have always done is you should always build your buildings on land you own, right? And so anytime I do something on Instagram, on Threads, on Meta, on TikTok, on YouTube that lives there, I don't own that. I can get deplatformed. The platform can get bought out by somebody that I don't agree with, but they can't take CoreyKerr.com away. And so Substack is an email newsletter, and it is also a social media network on the notes side of things. And I think it's very unique in that aspect right now. Substack right now seems to be kind of free speech based, and you've got people on the right, people on the left, people in the middle, people all over the place, and it's very writer based. And so it's interesting in that aspect. The reason that I'm using it is because I am always looking for something that will drive traffic to my site that I own. But the nice thing is those people that have chosen to follow me and want to engage with my work, they can do that no matter what platform I send them emails from, because they own their email and they've given it to me until they unsubscribe. And so that's a big thing that I think is one of the most important things for personal creators is build on your own land, right? So you need to have your own website that you control. And then you also need to think of social media and your digital marketing efforts as always not building audiences on those platforms, but driving traffic to your house, right? And so I like Substack for that reason, because it drives traffic to something that I own. My biggest piece of advice, no matter what the emphasis is or what the thing is with the student, is you should always be making stuff for yourself. So you should always be spending time creating content, doing personal projects that you are not required to do at work or at school, because that's what's going to help you find your personal style, find your interests, find your tribe, as well as hone your skills. If you just do what you're told to do, then you will only be as good as everybody else in the class. But if you do that and you learn what you get in class and you get the experience that you get at work, and then you also have a webcomic, or you start making animated shorts, or whatever it is, you start writing your novel, or whatever thing that you're producing yourself for yourself will enhance everything else that you're doing in your life, and that will differentiate you. I'm not any different than anybody else. I'm not special or weird or blessed or talented in any particular way that nobody else is. I've just spent a ton of time making a bunch of things that I've wanted to make, and it starts to add up over the years. And so at first I just had a couple of t-shirt designs, but then you spend 25 years making stuff, and now I have this entire portfolio, this entire website full of decades worth of work that I've produced, and I can go in and I have a lot of different projects from a lot of different things that showcase a lot of different skill sets, all things that I enjoy, all things that people have paid me to do after I've done stuff for myself, and it's only because I've done personal projects. I think personal projects are the number one thing that I recommend for any student of any discipline.
Corey, thank you so much for taking the time to share your expertise with us.
Awesome. Next, we're going to give you some tips and tricks for how you can utilize LinkedIn to build your personal brand.
A great way to help your personal brand is by making sure you have a LinkedIn page that highlights who you are and is up to date. I'm Abigail Thompson, and with this week's segment of strategies, tips, and tools. The profile section should highlight your own personal brand by showing who you are and your skills and your achievements. A great place to start is by making sure that your profile picture looks professional and up to date. You can click here to edit or change that. A good feature about LinkedIn is that your intro is right here at the top where you can put some personal information for easy access. This summary section is also incredibly helpful for your personal brand by allowing you to include highlights, experiences, skills, achievements, and more. As you scroll through, you can see many ways to add to your personal brand by putting in your work experience, your education, some of your skills, and some of your interests. The thing you are going to want to focus on the most, however, is adding to your list of skills. These will show off your personal brand the most and highlight what you are good at. To add skills to your profile, click on this plus sign next to skills and type in what skill you want to add. Make sure you also select where you have learned the skill, whether it be from a job experience or from education. While there are many other skills to be learned on LinkedIn, here are just some of the basics to get you started and build up your personal brand.
Thank you so much, Abigail. We are nearing the end of our segment today, and it's time to answer the question of the day. Grace, what is the biggest trend in personal branding in 2025?
The biggest trend in personal branding in 2025 is micro niches. So building a niche specific brand that differentiates you from everyone else.
Awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Come back next week on Stratazine for the next group's topic. You can find the links and attribution for everything from today's show following the podcast and credit notes. Have a great day.